Darby, Wrestle Dream is this Saturday and tickets are moving a bit slower than I would like. So I feel that it falls on your shoulders as a Washingtonian to drum up as much interest as possible. And what I feel you should do is I feel you and Brody King need to air out your dirty laundry, and you need to do what you can to get people talking about your match and hopefully talking about the card and move some last minute tickets. And I know just the way to do it. Take this rock. But most importantly, do it your way. Oh gee, thanks Tony. My way. Wait, which way is my way? What you're going to do is you are simply going to go out there and you're going to talk about your time on the independents. You're going to talk about how Brody had a kid on the way and didn't know what he was going to do. Then you're going to talk about how you got signed to AEW well before Brody King did. Then Ring of Honor shut down and Brody King was without a job. But you knew that Brody would be beneficial to AEW and would succeed in AEW. You will get him a job and you will make sure that you bring all of this together. And then he's going to talk about the fact that you take too many chances. You're a pillar of AEW, the face of AEW, but you need to be safe from yourself. And then you're going to say, take my spot, take my spot. You're going to woo, 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 woo. And then he won't do anything. You will slap him. He will punch you. And he will lock you in a sleeper and try to choke you out. But then you're going to break free. And then when his head is in range, hit it with the rock. Well, my way's not very sportsmanlike. Thanks, guys. Tony, I'm the only one in the room. There are no guys here. Thanks, guys. And I have a feeling that's probably how the conversation went. Anyway, I'm John Renton with my review of AEW Dynamite Title Tuesday from Spokane Arena in Spokane, Washington. No, I was not at this show. This is the first Washington show that I was not at. And I will explain why. One, I don't think you could have paid me to go to this show, and I will basically say why as I go on. And also, for those that aren't Washingtonians, I'm in a little sublet of Marysville called Tulalip. To go to Seattle is a bit of a trip. To go to Tacoma for Wrestle Dream, which I will be doing, is a bit of a trip. But those are on this side of the state. Spokane is all the way basically on the Idaho-Washington border, which is every bit of 4.5 to 5 hours without, really, really bad traffic. And no, since none of my friends wanted to go, I was like, there's no point. And also it would have taken about 14 to 15 hours of my day. And no, just goddamn no. They really should have just held this in Everett like they did when they were here in May, because they would have at least drawn a better crowd than they drew in Spokane. Look, Tony Khan has done a lot of great stuff, apparently, with the relief efforts for Hurricane Helene, and has been coordinating with, people to help, in Asheville and other affected areas, and that's good. That's really good. I can't knock him. I can't knock him one bit for that. I'm not going to knock the person. But as a television program, as something, yes, it was supposed to be the go-home show for the pay-per-view. I'm going to be doing my Wrestle Dream predictions after this. This was not good. This was not good at all. They had this is a 12,000 seat capacity building. They had maybe 2,000, maybe 2,500. As of a few hours before the show, they had maybe 1,800 tickets distributed, even if they had walk-ups. That is embarrassing. That is fucking embarrassing. They had 9,000 to 9,500 for the first ever Dynamite the day of Wrestle Kingdom last year. For Collision, just before Wrestle Dream, they had 4,000, 4,500 in the same building in Seattle. And then for Wrestle Dream, they had 6,500, 7,000 maybe. I think it was more about 6,000. And then for, a venue change in Everett, a 10,000 seat arena, they had 3,000 to 3,500. It is depressing because they should be doing better. They have that new television deal. That's great. But you know what? It's not going to help the crowds. It's not going to help the booking. It's not going to help the messiness of this program. And yeah, I'm excited to go to Wrestle Dream, but god damn it, I hate to beat a goddamn horse. But when that horse keeps, basically being drug in front of you and it's presented with wrestlers wrestling on a goddamn wrestling ring while that horse carcass continues to permeate and smell and stink up the program, it's impossible not to notice. So go home show for Wrestle Dream. Moxley's in the back with moody music. He will be Brian and AEW's wake-up call, and Brian will embrace his dark side and says there aren't enough people in Washington State to stop him. There were barely enough people in the goddamn arena. I think the wrestlers outnumbered the goddamn number of people in the arena. And look up, for those that, look up a map of like, look up the Spokane, Washington border. Or Spokane, or the Washington-Idaho border, by the way. Look where Spokane is. There's Pullman. Pullman is where the Washington State Cougars play. But look at around Spokane. There is nothing. There is absolutely nothing around Spokane. And part of the reason I didn't go is because we call it Spokane't, and everybody knows why if you're a Washingtonian. Idaho, that part of Idaho doesn't really have much of anything. There's Coeur d'Alene, but Boise and Nampa and any of the major metropolitan things, for Idaho, they're further down the south, along the highway from Portland through Pendleton and everything. I know that's probably not making a whole lot of sense to you guys, but the bottom line is they may not come back to the Pacific Northwest after this. It is actually getting very, very scary. I'll go to AEW shows as long as they're in my area, but after this year's Wrestle Dream, I don't know if I'm going to travel to even Seattle for it. And I don't know where else they could run. They could run the ShoWare Center in Kent. If they want to run a little arena in Wenatchee, they could do that in the summer. But Wenatchee's up in the goddamn mountains and is up in the fucking sticks. There aren't a lot of mid-size indoor arenas in this state, in this country, in this state that they can run, that are reasonable for people to drive around. There's even less in Oregon. So anyway, we get a Danielson pre-tape. Bad audio. My God, get better mic equipment, Tony. He talks about knowing Claudio for 20 years, but taking him out tonight. And so we get Excalibur. Excalibur, I've defended before, is god-awful, needs to stop doing commentary. He's not good at this. Shivani, I like Shivani, but he doesn't really contribute. And Jeff Jarrett was the best one of the goddamn bunch here. Taz apparently had knee replacement surgery. I hope, however long it takes for him to recover, I just want him to have a great quality of life. So Darby calls out Brody King. They talk their time on the independent scene. Basically you had a kid, you had this, you weren't sure, Ring of Honor shut down, I got you a job in Darby, I remember all this. And, I asked you to hire me, or I asked, to be hired and stuff like that, and you did. But you have a death wish, Darby, you have to be safe from yourself. What happened if you climb Mount Everest? We both may have paid for our dads to retire, but then your dad would have to go out and get a job. This would have to happen. You have to be saved from yourself. Apparently he is a Stabbing Westward fan. And Darby basically says, put me out of my misery, take my spot. And then slap, punch, sleeper, hit him with the rock. Brody's bleeding, security's out. And then we go back. So that was fine for what it was. There's history in the indies. I don't know how many people necessarily at the pay-per-view are going to care. I remember I've seen Brody at a few indie shows. I've seen Darby at a few indie shows. Met Darby. Interesting guy, I'll say that much. So Jake the Snake Roberts is staying there with Lance Archer. Don Callis comes in and says, we have a management-to-management talent exchange for the first time in AEW. So apparently the NBA draft is taking over goddamn wrestling now. So who did Jake get? We find out in a bit. Daniel Garcia is here. They decided to bring him back in Spokane. That's a choice. Anyway, so Hologram and Commander, referee Aubrey, by the way, and I like Aubrey. Aubrey's a great referee, super nice, very good at what she does. I wondered why in the world they started with this match, though. Because it's like something you would see on Rampage, it's like something you see on Collision, it's like something you see on Dark Elevation. Commander is who he is. Hologram apparently has a 13-match win streak that he's accumulated on Collision and possibly the soon-to-be-canceled Rampage. Excalibur is just rotten because he's stumbling over everything. So they just do a bunch of stuff. By the way, there was a Kamala Harris ad, and if you are thinking about voting for the goddamn idiot that was unfit to run for president back in 2016, let's get proper conservative people in if you really want to. Let's get Harris in and then do something about that. And later, let's get everybody working together and let's get the poison out. We got less than a goddamn month until the goddamn election, so let's be smart. And if you do support the goddamn criminal that wanted to fuck his own kid, that has numerous assault and R allegations and various charges and all that stuff and everything and all this stuff going on, he's a criminal goddamn piece of shit. He stole documents, he did all this stuff, tried to lead an insurrection. If you're still going to do that, I don't want you on this channel. I don't want you commenting. I don't even want you, quite frankly, being a contributing member of society because you don't deserve to be. Pull your head out of your goddamn ass and realize that this country can't move forward without your bigotry, your hatred, and or at least the person you're supporting having bigotry and hatred and various terrible views. So nevertheless, there was a rack spin bomb 1, 2, 3 hologram 1. And then suddenly Jake shows up. He got Rouge, he got Dralistico, and the Meat Mortos. Mark Briscoe is now pissed. I imagine I'd be pissed too if I had to sit through that goddamn... No, Mark Briscoe's like, Jericho, you shouldn't have done this, and now you shouldn't have done that. You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you? Here's Daniel Garcia. Since I'm the best wrestler in the world, or one of, he wants to stay where the best wrestle. That's it. And he wants gold. I boiled that thing down because, look, as long as Garcia's happy and they give him a good pay, they give him a good contract, and he's happy what he's doing, that's fine. It would be the same if you went to WWE, be the same whatever anybody does. More companies being healthy is what the industry needs. So Swerve will be at the pay-per-view because they need to do something to drum up some interest based on this card. Renee is with Mercedes and Camille, and then suddenly Garcia is talking to people, and Shibata says, using his phone translate, basically once he beats Jack Perry, Garcia could get a shot. And then Willow, it's Willow against Jamie Hayter, against Saraya, against Nyla Rose. Britt got a little bit of the COVID apparently, or at least an illness, and is not able to be there. So the winner faces Mariah May at Wrestle Dream. Mariah's on commentary, basically talking about Hayter looking like Daphne. Khan signed Saraya for another 1-year deal, and she has contributed fuck all of shit since being signed. The first deal. Harley jumps in because it's no DQ. Nyla dives on everybody, and I'm glad Nyla's getting on television. Nyla should have been the first women's champion, and they should have had Shida beat her, and then Riho should have never touched the gold because Riho's not any good. Harley then basically gets thrown around, face first, back first, do with that what you will. Penelope then suddenly shows up. Penelope shows up and hits Jamie Hayter, and then they run off. I don't know where Penelope Ford's been. Saraya, a little bit earlier, took a chair all over her back. She should be used to that. And so the match is still going, by the way. Match is still going. None of this is any good. And I like some of the people involved. Saraya facing off against Nyla. Gee, I wonder if Nyla laid it in a little bit extra, considering how Saraya's boyfriend, that piece of shit Ronnie Radke, feels about her. A guy that couldn't actually whip a dead body. Not even one that he allegedly caused, to end up dead. Guy's a piece of shit, and you know what? They deserve each other. And if they end up, in a ditch with each other, it'd be such a shame. Nyla basically hits the apron. I don't know why people are taking bumps in it. Again, there were more wrestlers probably backstage than there were people in the crowd. And then they struggle with the table. You would think Saraya would be used to tag teaming Woods. I would feel bad saying that, but she has basically exposed herself as a toxic person, so I'll make fun of her all I want. And good lord, you morons, is what I wrote down. Willow won with a DVD through the table. Saraya taking Wood all over her back. Harley got pinned, even though she wasn't in the goddamn... And then Mariah and Willow get in an altercation, and Mariah headbutts her and then whips her. And I'm shocked that the people of Spokane, booed a white girl whipping a black woman, considering some people over there in Spokane, I kid, of course, there are good people in Spokane. It's just near Idaho, which is not a good state. So, Jericho's group talks to Rocky Romero, and if you think I listen to anything Jericho said unless it's his death rattle, you are out of your mind. Jay White and Juice show up. Jay White took on Cody Chun, or Chun, I believe is how most people say it. I like Cody. I've met Cody at several independent shows. Good guy. Deceptively tall. Pretty good. Pretty good in the ring. He got in some shots, but he got some Defy chance, but did fall to the Blade Runner. And it was good that Cody got on there. It got Jay a nice win, and Cody got to be on a bigger stage. Jay then talks about Hangman. It all starts with you. I'm going to beat you. All that. And then they said Hook basically commandeered a camera crew. And who attacked Taz? Well, it wasn't Kip. And then Christian showed up. Hey, have you seen Kip? He showed up like 10 seconds later. You didn't see him running down that hallway? I know that Christian's old, but good God, Jesus Christ, Shayna Wayne, good grief. Has Nick Wayne been in the gym? Because it looks like he's been putting on size. I like Nick. Okay, who attacked Taz? Does it really matter? Is Taz going to be back anytime soon with full knee replacement surgery? He's probably not going to be back till at least January or February at the soonest. So anyway, Willow then attacks Mariah and vows to beat her on Saturday. And Willow's just, leaves Mariah there, laying, writhing. Shut up, you know who you are. Mercedes then took on Emi Sakura. For what fucking reason is this on a gut? Why? Just why? Mercedes is the biggest bust that they've signed. Camille stumbles around like an idiot. Jesus Christ. Why? I mean, I don't know if Emmy's a bad person. I don't care if Emmy's a bad person. To what purpose did this serve? Mercedes won. Jesus. Here's Statlander. Apparently she's a face. I think I saw some clip where she got rid of Stokely or they parted ways. That heel turn served no purpose, I guess. Renee is a private party. Stokely wants to manage him because he's been watching him for the last 2 weeks. It's a short amount of time for a short manager. Shivani brings out Ospreay. More stuff about Callis. Callis comes out to booze. So let me get this straight. Ospreay was a popular guy. Callis helped him beat Kenny Omega. Then he came over to AEW. He's part of the group. He fought Takeshita, and then he's fought Kyle Fletcher, and he's the international champion. He was let out of the group after, he was basically let out of the goddamn group because he wanted to do his own thing. Callis let him do that, but said, I'm doing you this favor, you can do me a favor. And then they had the tag team match, him and Fletcher against the Bucks. They didn't win because Ospreay stopped the whole screwdriver thing. But still, Ospreay was a face in this big old group, and then Fletcher's been acting more like a face, and yet Callis is this vicious heel. Did you send Takeshita out to do this? Yeah, I did it out of frustration because you won't listen to me, and you don't know shit, bruv, is what Ospreay said. And Callis basically says, hey, I cast aside the best wrestler in the world for, Kenny Omega for you. Maybe it's about time I cast the best wrestler aside again. He wasn't in your group. This whole thing has been gone over. This is stupid. Tony Khan can't book. I don't know why this frustrates me so fucking much. I don't know why it does. Maybe it's because there's actual talent and they could be an alternative, and if there was any direction. So, yeah, Takeshita comes and attacks Ospreay. Fletcher is wondering what to do. Callis hands him the screwdriver, but he doesn't do that. And then Takeshita clocks Ospreay after Ospreay tries to get a Callis again. And here's Ricochet in very bright shoes. This is the bright shoes. I'm sorry. What the fuck, Ricochet? Big money, even bigger money, and he decides to get shoes like that? So anyway, Top Flight, they're backstage. Action Andretti and them are fighting. Layla Gray says stuff, and why does anybody care about any of this? Nothing against them as athletes, as personalities on television. He has too many people signed, too many people that he's trying to put on TV, and none of it really matters. It doesn't even matter if you pay attention to Collision and this. And people say, oh, well, they've done stuff on Ring of Honor. Yeah, and none of it mattered because like 5 people watch Ring of Honor. Jack Perry's on a stairwell. It's a shame he wasn't at the bottom of it. They put the final countdown on this show. You could have taken the collective income of probably half the people there, and it wouldn't have equaled what yearly income and equaled. It wouldn't have equaled what Tony Khan paid just to have that in this, dire of a situation as far as a crowd size and everything. It was Danielson and Yuta against Claudio and Pac. Referee Rick Knox, so I'm quite frankly amazed they even bothered to have counts. Brian is done on Saturday. There's no way he's not. If they have the final countdown for this, then yeah, he's got to be done. So after Pac taps to Danielson, Moxley shows up. Him and Brian battles at the back. Yeah, because it was just a basic match with a massive overrun. Danielson and Moxley go to the back, battle to the back, and Shafir beats up Yuta. Cody Chun is taller than Wheeler Yuta and bigger than Wheeler Yuta, by the way. That's not a knock on Cody. It's not even a knock on Wheeler. It's just they've been pushing Wheeler and it has not worked. But anyway, Shafir attacks Yuta and then stop. Hammer time. Boop, 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 boop. While Danielson and Moxley are attacking each other backstage. And Moxley is selling like a corpse. And then Danielson and Moxley come back to the ring. And then a Bukkake knee and other stuff and everything. And I just, I got to be honest. This deal with Danielson and Mox better end at Wrestle Dream. Even if it's a downer, I just don't see Danielson wrestling beyond that. Because he needs neck surgery. He can come back sometime next year and wrestle the occasional match. He doesn't need to do full-time anymore. Or he can just retire. I don't know why this show bothered me so goddamn much. Maybe because I remember being at the first Dynamite. Or I remember being at last year's Wrestle Dream. And most of their television now just is... Any of the big stuff, they can't pop the people. And hold them. They can't. 1,800 to maybe 2,500 people in Spokane. They're going to be running in goddamn little rec centers the next time they come here. Agree, disagree what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm Charles Renthal. I'll see you soon.